Hello and welcome back to another Talking Tale video. In today's one, we're going to be looking at the final issue for the TMNT, the Archie Adventures comic series. I'm not sure what this series really goes under by. And with the last two issues, I feel like I might be a little bit too critical about how they were presenting the story, but my god, this issue really doesn't improve whatsoever. So this issue is trying to tell the story of episode 4 and 5 of season 1 of the 1987 show, except from the fact that it does it terribly and it cuts parts out which were like really necessary because like it's just so it goes too quickly and they just don't really pace things out. So yeah, okay, let's get into this one. So with the first part of the story, where it's about like the first 10 pages, it's for episode 4, and like with the last like two reviews in the series, I'm not gonna go through like scene by scene or anything like that, just because it's just basically me reviewing the episodes, and at that point I might as well just watch the actual episodes themselves, but sadly I didn't, and I really wish I did. So yeah, but yeah, I don't think there's any like good things I can positively say about this part of the story. I feel like with this issue, compared to the other ones, the colour in this one was definitely fading a lot more, and like the colour in this one wasn't really there all too much. It was there for the turtles, April, and sometimes background, but the background would just be a bright colour, or if not, it would just be nothing at all. So I'm not too sure what went wrong with the artists, or the colours, or anything like that, but yeah, it's just a weird decision they decided to throw in here. But yeah, so this story, for the most part, is just basically the turtles meet up with the neutrinos, and then they go back and they fight Krang and they send neutrinos back. And with this one, it was more or less close to the actual episode itself. I will give them some credit for that. It was on point, more or less. But I mean, starters with one big problem was that in the actual episode, we got to see the turtles fight neutrinos in the air on the cars. But not this time. We just get to see the turtles jump up to the cars. For the next panel, they're already down on the streets and be like, "Oh yes, you know, we seem like cool guys. Want to hang out?" It's like stuff like that, which is just like important stuff from the actual story and episodes, which they cut out for something which I don't know why, because it was important and it just goes by too quickly. And then also like another big thing, like a massive thing for this story, was that in the episode, the Stone Soldiers throughout, yeah, it was Stone Soldiers, yeah, they threw out this weather device that will control the weather and stuff like that, and it was making everything snow. Now, in the episode, they stopped the device at the very end of the episode. Now, in this story, they say, "Oh yes, we'll deal with it later." They never do. It's so weird and bizarre that, it's just so bizarre because in the episode they didn't make it like a big thing in the actual episode, but here they just shrug it off as if it's nothing and then never deal with it ever again. And they never do address this story in the part 5 of the story. And from what I can remember, they don't address this one in the Archie Adventures stuff as well. So is there a device going on in this universe that's just changing the weather or what? But yeah, they never answer that question. So yeah, there's that. So for episode 5 or part 5 for this one, it's again still same sort of story. Shredder tricks Splinter to come into a Technodrome so that he can use the retro mutagen gun on him, and then stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, and then Krang gets bigger and also that kind of stuff, which all I've got to say about that, which this is more a question for the show really, but how is Krang's body able to, or how is the streets able to support Krang's body when he's literally able to go through the ground as if it's nothing? So yeah, that's another question which we'll never get answers to, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, this story was on point. Again, it felt like with how they was doing the story itself in this comic, very rushed and stuff like that, and it just felt like I felt like this one was probably one of the better parts of the story. I think that this part and also part 1 was probably the more better parts from this mini-series. But I just feel as though like they're just rushing through things just way too fast. And there was like, I would say that in the actual episode itself, there were like really good moments in the episode. With like Tails fighting Beam Rocksteady, Tails fighting Krang, and even Shredder fighting Splinter. But because of how much of it goes by too quickly, some of it doesn't really have the because I'd say like watching the show, it like some of these moments I'll say like quite impactful for the characters and stuff like that, and it's more like a oh my god kind of situation for like some of these characters. But here it's just like, oh okay, next page, okay, we're moving on to another scene. Who cares? Just like a lot of stuff like that, which it's just so bizarre because I want to care about these characters and this universe, but with how fast things go by, it's so weird. It's almost as if like I shouldn't care about these characters, as if I should just watch the show itself, which at this point it would have been better for me. So yeah, I mean, overall for this issue, I thought it was pretty disappointing, I want to say. I felt like the whole story, just like with the last few issues, were going by way too quickly, and I do feel like a lot of like stuff from the actual episodes themselves were like important stuff were just cut out just because they need to go to the next scene and cut important parts out, which is really disappointing because like the episodes themselves are really good, and translating them into comics, it should be great, but you have to do something like this and just wonder like why. So oh god, but yeah, I mean overall for the actual series itself, it was one which I was always curious about because I never read it as a kid, and going into this one, I sort of had like an idea of what to expect because I heard people talk about this series saying that in that like about that like adaptation stuff from the show. So I was quite curious to see how much they would be adapting from the show into the comics and how they'll be adapting it. But after reading it, I just feel like it was just a very big disappointment, big letdown, and I just wish I just stuck to the show itself because I don't feel like this comic added anything to the show whatsoever or improved it in any way whatsoever, just like with like 2003 comics was able to do some interesting stuff with the episodes and tell like new like stories in an interesting way, like showing from different like perspective. But here it's just 10 stories but just come like, important stuff out and then left us to care about these characters, which at that point I don't know anyone who actually does care about these characters after reading this comic. So, you know, there's that. But yeah, I mean there was some decent stuff. I thought the artwork was consistent. Yeah, I think that's the only good thing I can say about this series is that the artwork was consistent and everything about it was consistent, but consistent for all the wrong reasons. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, let me know in the comment section below what do you think about this issue. Do you like it? Do you not? I highly doubt it that you do. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. If you please share, let's grab more stuff. Goodbye, yo, bye.